Hello everybody, it's James with Love My Pups and My Breeder Supply. Today we're going to talk about how to avoid being scammed. So the sad thing is, is that people get scammed all the time. I talk to people who are looking at maybe buying one of my puppies and they've got horror stories about what mistakes they've made and how they've lost significant amount of money because of these unscrupulous buggers out there who can get you for literally thousands of dollars. So I guarantee that if you haven't been scammed, you will get a scam run on you, and if you're not very careful, you're likely to get scammed. I mean, I've been in this business now for 15 years, and here about a year ago, I was really close to getting scammed. I'd almost pressed the button to send the money before I did one more final check and found out that this was a scam. So it's very, very easy to fall prey to this thing. So I want to talk about this from two different points of view. The bigger one is if you're buying a puppy, and this is true probably of buying anything, but specifically buying a puppy. Then we're going to talk about as somebody who's selling a puppy, where the other end of the scams are. All right, so typically what happens is that you're looking online, you find a puppy or a dog that looks really beautiful, and probably it's a really attractive price, almost too good to be true. And so the old adage is, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. It probably there's something wrong. Look, doesn't mean that it is wrong, but it means that you should always do due diligence to make sure that you are not about to get ripped off. So I'm going to go through, not necessarily in any specific order, but the things that come to my mind that you should do. So the first one is, if they're scamming you, they don't have the puppy. Well, they could have the puppy, they're just not going to send it to you. They're outside the country or whatever, and they're going to get you, entice you in a puppy, not going to send it to you. We'll talk about that here in a moment. But the most common one is they just don't have the puppy. And I see pictures of my puppies and videos of my wife quite often on other people's sites where they are pretending that puppy is theirs. And whenever I see those, I contact the people and tell them, hey, you're busted. And of course, nothing ever happens. The police aren't interested. These people are even in the country. But the point is that they're going to pretend that they have a puppy and they don't. So what's the very first thing you should do? If you're interested in a puppy, FaceTime them. You can't cheat on a FaceTime. So what they'll do is they'll send you a picture. And I had one time where I said, hey, send me a picture with my name on a piece of paper so that I know that you've got the puppy. Well, they photoshopped it in. And after I looked at it really carefully, I could see that it was photoshopped in, but it was certainly not obvious. So just sending you a picture or sending you a picture of the puppy with a newspaper today's date on it doesn't mean that they have the puppy. But if they FaceTime you can't cheat that. You can ask questions, they will answer it directly, and the puppy's in their hands or playing around. You know that they have the puppy. So there's the first thing, FaceTime. If they make excuses why they can't FaceTime, then be very, very cautious. Oh, I'm busy right now. Oh, the puppy's at somebody else's house. My phone doesn't do FaceTime. I don't know how to do it. Those are all potentially warning bells going off. So the first thing is FaceTime, and if they can't FaceTime, then they need to find somebody with a phone they can FaceTime. If you can't FaceTime, if you're on Facebook, you can FaceTime. If you can't FaceTime, find a friend who's got a phone that can FaceTime. But I would FaceTime, because that stops the large part of this. Okay, so I'm going to tick these things off as I go. So the next thing is, ask the name of their vet and the phone number of their vet. Anybody who's doing anything with puppies is going to have a vet involved. They're going to have a vet that at the very least needs to look at that puppy before it leaves to make sure it gives it a wellness check. And we do this, if you call up our vet, and we've got about 4 of them we use, any one of those, they will know us personally, they will know our first name, and they will answer any questions about our reputability. You need to do the same thing. Ask for the vet's name, because again, if they're outside the country or they're scamming, they're not going to come up there, they'll come up with some excuse. And then the next thing you know is you've busted them in a scam and they never call you back. Great, you just dodged a bullet. So ask for vet's information. Price. If the price is crazy, then be careful. Doesn't mean that you can't get a bargain. There are some bargains out there, but there's a couple of things that can happen. The first is the price is a little bit silly, and you then get in this, I've got to get the puppy now before somebody else gets it. So there's a couple of times when you could be pretty vulnerable. The first one is that you're in a rush because you know it's a great deal. And the other one is that you've had a puppy that died or got lost, and you're really heart-aching for another puppy, very sad, and you want to fill that hole. Completely understand that. Just don't fill that hole with a scam, because it'll feel even worse. So when you're vulnerable, be especially careful. Added expenses. One of the scams is they get a deposit from you, and then they're going to get a shipping fee from you, and then they start adding other expenses on, like insurance, for instance. And their game is they're never going to ship you a puppy because they don't have it, and they're not going to get the final payment from you, but they're going to get a few $100 or $1,000 deposit, maybe another $500 or $1,000 worth of shipping fees. And they get $2,000 out of you, and then they just disappear. And then they'll tell you the dog's been shipped. You go up to the airport, and of course, there's no dog there for you. They have their English, their written English is grammatically very bad. So this is a typical thing for places like Nigeria. And I don't want to I want to be careful here and not imply that people who don't write well are necessarily all scammers. Of course they're not. But the MO is that people who are from foreign countries don't speak our language and don't write it very well, and so the grammar's poor. Poor grammar, misspelled words, that is a warning sign. Okay, let's have a look what I got here. Somebody who's selling you a dog who's outside the USA. This is one that I've done a number of times from importing dogs, and I've had some problems. So, it's a great place to get scammed. You're going to have to do some homework, find out who they have sold puppies to in the United States. Call those people up and talk to them. Remember, it can still be a scam. I've had this played on me where the person you're talking to is in fact in league with the people that is shipping the dog. But what you'd like to see is somebody who's got a track record of successfully shipping and happy customers in the United States. If you're the first person to buy a dog from them in the United States and they're shipping from overseas, be very careful, because there's a good chance that they don't know what they're doing. Here's one that's happened to me. I got the wrong dog. I paid for a dog, and I actually paid for 2 chocolate dogs a long time ago. I paid for 2 chocolate dogs, and I got 2 chocolate dogs, but they looked like hell. They looked like long noses and huge ears and tails and everything else. It was a disaster. And of course, when I contacted the person, I never heard another thing. So that's getting the wrong dog. All right. So let's see. They're going to give you some peace of mind they're going to put this through escrow. The money that you send them is going to go into escrow, and then the money from escrow is only released to them after you've got the dog and you're happy with it. I have never done an escrow deal ever, and anytime anybody mentions escrow, I start running for the hills really quickly. So what happens on this one is the escrow agent they're using is just a bunch of baloney, doesn't even exist, and it's them, and they get your money, and the dog never gets delivered, and you have no recourse. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. That really kind of most of what we're talking about. Now, there's ways to pay for a dog, and this is a problem here, because you want complete security that the dog's going to show up, and if it doesn't, you have recourse. On the other side, the seller's got the same problem. The seller's worried that you get the dog and then you claim you didn't get it, and then you as the buyer then reverse the charges. I've had that happen to me. In fact, I had that happen to me just a couple of months ago. So this is a difficult one, because I can tell you, for me personally, I want to be as secure as I am that you're not going to defraud me after I've shipped a dog. So this is a difficult one. So you can ask to pay with a credit card. You can ask to pay with PayPal. Those things are things that typically can be reversed. If you pay with Western Union, that can't be reversed. If you pay with Walmart to Walmart, that can't be reversed. If you send a personal check and they wait till it clears, that's going to be difficult to reverse. So on the buyer's point of view, there is various ways that you can protect yourself if you don't get a dog. There's things that you can do. On the seller's point of view, it's completely the opposite. So the next thing we're going to start talking about is the seller. So you as the seller, and I'm on both sides of this. I mean, I buy puppies and I imported dogs from England. from Europe, there's another thing. You import a dog from England and you don't get the necessary paperwork, then you can't go through the process of getting AKC registration. That can be a real problem. I have a dog right now, a beautiful Merle dog that I bought, that I'll be able to get CKC on, but I cannot get AKC. And of course the seller doesn't know anything about it and is not there to do anything for me, probably because they don't have the necessary pedigree in that country to prove that it's a French Bulldog. And when it's a French Bulldog, but I don't have any paperwork for it. So this is another thing. Make sure, by the way, when you're buying a dog, that you're getting the appropriate paperwork that you need. If you're buying this dog and it's just going to be a companion, it's really not too important. If you're buying this dog and you're planning to either maybe stud the dog out or have some puppies from it, then you really do want to have AKC paperwork with full rights. And so you need to make sure that you're getting that if that's important to you. Some people will offer a lower price if a dog doesn't have AKC registration. All of our dogs have AKC registration and we give full rights. But now there are certain circumstances where there's a dog for some reason that needs to be spayed and it's a great looking dog, but it does not be used for breeding purposes. An example would be a dog maybe that had an inguinal hernia. It's a dog that maybe you're not going to breed, but something that can be fixed, no problem, the dog will have a completely normal life. But at the same time, you want to make sure that that dog is not going to be used for breeding, and so you might stipulate on the AKC paperwork not fill out the box that gives them breeding rights. So, and if you get a dog without breeding rights, you're not getting the breeding rights without the breeder's consent. They can change that down the road, and they may want some money to do that, but make sure you're getting the paperwork that you need. Okay, selling a dog. So how do you get scammed on this end? Well, if you take a credit card, PayPal, both of those things can be reversed. I had an instance just here recently, a lady called, what is her name? I think it's Sarah Spalding from California, bought a dog from me, took a deposit through PayPal Friends and Family, took the final payment through PayPal Friends and Family. She then reversed both charges. And what happened is that I thought with Friends and Family I was completely safe, but it turns out she used a credit card. The credit card company pays PayPal, PayPal pays me, she reverses the credit card charges. I can't even get the information about what the credit card company is, and the money's just jerked out of my PayPal account, and I'm now going to sue the person. I've got to take them to court, which I'm going to do, by the way. So Eva Spaulding, if you're listening, Eva, I'm coming for you. I'm getting my money out of you. You ripped me off. It's not acceptable. It's poor behavior. That's just for Eva, but it's warning people who are selling dogs. Be careful. So if you take money as a check, make it clear the bank, because that can go wrong. If you take a cashier's check, I've taken these before, forged. They're not real. So if you're delivering a dog and give you a cashier's check, I would ahead of time get a picture of that check, call up the bank institution that it's on, and make sure that check really exists and it will be honored. They can still reverse a cashier's check, but they have to go swear on an affidavit about what they're doing. So someone's going to have to criminalize themselves to fraudulently stop a cashier's check. So cashier's checks are a fairly safe instrument, but only if you've checked it out. And then it's, of course, if you're going to deliver a puppy to somebody on a Saturday or a Sunday, you can't check it out because the bank's closed. So be careful of that one. Walmart to Walmart, I think that's completely safe. Western Union, I think that's completely safe. I've never done Western Union. You know, it reeks of a scammer when you ask somebody to do Western Union, so I just never even mentioned Western Union. A bank-wide transfer to your bank, that's absolutely safe. And of course, you know, the whole thing about this is be a nice person, do what you're supposed to do. If you're having a problem with a puppy, then address that before the puppy ever goes to somebody. We always get a vet checkup on every puppy that goes anywhere, always, a few days before it travels, and I recommend that you do exactly the same thing. That doesn't mean that something can't turn up and there can be a problem with the dog. And I mean, you know, I've had this happen occasionally. Something happens. If it does, then do the best you can to solve the problem out and err in the favor of your buyer. And if you do that, you'll get a good reputation and it will bode you well over the long term. All right. Let's see. Make sure that you have discussed with your buyer what the terms of the conditions are of the AKC paperwork. You know, is this full rights or is it not? Have a contract in hand. Have a contract that is signed by them that explains what happens in the event there's a problem. Nobody wants to discuss problems, of course they don't. But if problems occur, you want to make sure that there is a reasonable way to resolve this that is okay for both parties. If there's something goes wrong, it's never a good situation. I mean, the right thing to do is make sure that you raise your puppies in a nice environment, that you treat them well, and they go to the vet and get regular checkups, and that you worm them and you give them their shots and all those kind of things. But if something goes wrong, the contract is the thing that will let you resolve this in an amiable manner and not have some huge fight. All right, so what else have I got here? I think, well, I bet I've missed a few things, but I think that basically that's it. So, hey, best of luck with your buying of puppies and having beautiful, in our case, Frenchies in your household. They're wonderful dogs. If you get a Frenchie, you'll be so glad that you did. And then I want to have a little plug on a couple of my products that I sell. www.lovemypups.com, LOVEMYPUPS.com. We have a huge number of Frenchie studs that we start all over the United States, a little bit in Europe, lots in Canada and Mexico. So if you're looking for a stud dog, we have all different kinds of boys that would be great. They all come with a guarantee. They're all shipped with my patented product, Shipmate. I've now had personally 2,500 plus consecutive shipments without a failure of semen. You can ship semen on a trip that lasts for 4 days and get it there successfully. We have different versions of incubators, portable incubators. If you've got puppies, you should have an incubator because it saves puppies' lives. And then we have our whelping system, which is the novel whelping system that we're in the process of patenting. In our estimation, or we believe it's the absolute best way to whelp dogs. It's so safe and it makes sense when you see it. And again, you can see that at mybreedersupply.com. And thanks for listening to me rambling on. And everybody have a great day. Bye, everybody.